So, in the last video, I talked about two things. One was about the recent views on the Bhumi Pujan of Ram Mandir, and second was about the various dichotomy and dualism in geography. Proceeding in the same direction, now I would like to talk about more about the need for ethical figure in our society. Uh, from past 70 years, we have been trying our best to reach the ultimate aim of social life in India to get to make every citizen feel comfortable and they get what is known as social justice. In this line, we are developing infrastructure, both social and physical, as well as our judiciary is functioning in a more proper manner, and it has evolved very efficiently over the period of time. Our political scenario in India has changed for a better social inclusion of everyone. The term Antodaya has been introduced in the daily vocabulary of people and the political parties, which means Antayodaya, which means like Antodaya means that lowest the people at the lowest rung of the society should be given ample opportunity to rise up. So in this situation, we need in the society a figure to whom we can see that how a man can reach to a level of God. Ram as a person shows us that, and therefore in Hindu mythology, apart from being a god, he is more often called as Maryada Purushottam, the best man who lives with all elegance, dignity, and in his limitations. He teach us that how one can do his karma by being honest to himself and at the same time honest to the society as whole. He shows us how there is a need for people to grow not outside but from inside. They need to conquer their mind. Therefore, in many of the literature, including Vedic literature, Ram is also considered as consciousness, the same consciousness is that Buddhists considers Buddha, or our Muslims considered for Prophet Muhammad, or the Christians considered for your Jesus Christ, or Sikhs considered for their 10 gurus. So we understand that figures like Ram, Prophet Muhammad, or Jesus, or 10 gurus in Guru Nanak to Guru Tegh Bahadur, Guru Gobind Singh, etc., they should get a place in our daily life. We should have symbols representing them so that we can see them, and take inspiration to evolve and make this country a better place to live in, and make Bharat Sarvashreshth Bharat and Jagat Guru once more. So now let's talk about geography again. So in last video I talked about the various kind of dualism and dichotomy in geography. We must understand that geography as a discipline has benefited a lot from dualism and dichotomy. In fact, any discipline benefits a lot from these things, because dualism in a subject allows for constant flow of ideas that may oppose each other, but at the same time both the opposite parties are willing to believe and understand others idea. This enriches the subject. It brings new methodologies in the subject. It brings new concepts to the subject. It brings, or it integrates the subject with the sister discipline. Similar thing happened to geography as well. Geography got in its various phases got interconnected to various sister discipline, and hence the subject that was not even identified as a subject during the era of Kant has been recognized a very important subject in era of World War, post which it again lost its importance, and then again it regained its importance during the critical revolution and social relevance movement, as I have talked in the geographical timeline in my previous videos. So we can understand that dualism in any subject leads to betterment of the subject, but it is not so true with dichotomy. Dichotomy in most of the cases leads to division of the subject, and the two subjects become independent of each other. This is because the two different ideas cannot coexist together in one subject. Mm, Public administration and management studies are shows dichotomy more than dualism, and also they show dichotomy more than geographical studies. Now I shall proceed to a very important topic of geography, that is behavioral geography. Now we must understand why behavioral geography evolved. As I have discussed during the timeline, that behavioral geography was a result of a critical revolution against quantitative revolution paradigm in geography. So why was this critical revolution at the first place? Why it was there? This was because critical revolution uh, paved. This was because quantitative revolution paved way for a model building in geography, which were based on many important tenets, many important principles, and these principles, these assumptions were very far from reality. Therefore, input to the system or the law being far from the reality produced results that were very far from the reality. Now, this led to very abstract or very absurd results, which ultimately made no sense in contemporary situation. In the situation like growing disparity in the society, Cold War politics, your World War, your Vietnam War situation, etc. So this demanded a better aspect from this demanded a better contribution for geography from this demanded a better contribution from geography in terms of how to solve this. Now quantitative revolution through its model building and and deductive approach with positivism at its base cannot do this. The results were far from reality. So there has to be change in this paradigm, and this was brought about by behavioral geography. Now, how did behavioral geography change? Behavioral geography realized that humans are not mechanical beings. They are not just economic rational man. They need to be the need to there is need to consider the emotions of human, how he is a satisfier rather than optimizer. Um, so, in this way, it paved path for rehumanization of the otherwise dehumanized geography of quantitative revolution paradigm. So, the main focus of behavioral geography was to understand how human behave and then quantify this behavior, and then with this behavior construct a law. So we understand that it is an inductive approach in geography to quantify a behavior first, because different human will have different behavior, and from those behavior a data bank will be made, and from this data mining would be done, and deep analysis will be done, and then a law would be created regarding a certain characteristic of people. So in this way behavioral geography demanded an inductive approach, and thus it was a change from the previous paradigm of deductive approach. However, we understand that uh, behavioral geography was still a lawmaking geography. It believed in nomothetic approach because it retained the positivistic approach or the positivistic tendencies of quantitative revolution. Therefore, uh, geographers believe that behavioral geography is more a evolution of quantitative revolution rather than a revolution in itself. So we understand that how behavioral geography came, what were the reasons for its coming, and what is the main ingredient of behavioral geography. After that, I'll discuss what are the various parameters or basic assumptions of behavioral geography, and what were the approach in behavioral geography that were prevalent during the time, how mental map got converted to objective mental map, or how the behavioral geography has evolved. So thank you.